So basically what's going on is that all of us are stuck in our houses or whatever, and everybody's lonely. And so what we can either do is talk about the old coronavirus, or you, as one of the most positive people in the world, when you set your mind to it, can share Daniel Gilman's thoughts on mental health. You're an extrovert.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, clinically proven. You're a clinically proven extrovert. So how does Daniel Gilman, extrovert extraordinaire, survive the great social distancing of 2020?
Mm-hmm. I don't know if I need to bring it up, but I wrote an article for our website they published on Friday. I just about like 5 things to do while we're in this time of stuff. So
take us through. Take me through it. Nobody else is here. It's just me.
Okay. Well, the first thing that I'm trying to embody is taking time to reach out to those who are most vulnerable. And so, that includes the elderly, that includes people with respiratory illness, and that includes the most extreme extroverts amongst us, to let them know that we're thinking about them. The second thing is to be working on ways that one can emerge from this time of social isolation in the strongest place possible. So for me, I've identified that I'm not much of a reader, and so I've decided to become an avid reader, and I just completed book 26 of 2020. So I got audiobooks, I got actual books, and I'm learning. I'm reading books that are practical, like how to write. There's a book by Sir Harold Evans called Do I Make Myself Clear? And it's an incredible book on writing. My writing will never be the same, for the better. And then I'm also reading good old books. I just finished like John Milton's Paradise Lost and Paradise Regained, some of Chesterton's stuff. I just read George MacDonald's The Princess and the Goblin. Josh, it's such a good book.
It's such a good book.
So just trying to read like great books, read helpful books. And whenever this ends, I'll emerge like not feeling like, oh man, I just wasted so much time binging on Netflix. I actually don't even have anyone's Netflix password because I don't want to waste my time on shows. I just want to read and emerge stronger than ever. So that's probably honestly the number one thing I'm doing in this time of social distancing. Third, I do believe that prayer specifically to Jesus makes a big difference. And so trying to spend time, my prayer life has been kind of flat lately with all the busyness of Toronto living. What's up? And so, hey, I'll talk to you later. So that's how I'm coping.
Basically, you have imaginary friends. That's
sorry,
one tactic.
Sorry, I'm doing a call right now. Sorry.
That's perfect.
I'm here with me and my boys. Anyway, so I'm trying to up my prayer life. That's more theoretical than real, unlike reading, which is very real. And then is there anything else? Oh, and then my last point of the article, which I wouldn't want to say like my article, but like be like, yo, this is something real in my heart, is just turning my eyes to Jesus, and in his words, taking heart. I love that Jesus doesn't just say like be of good cheer, but he says, in this world you will have trouble, but be of good cheer, I'll overcome the enemy. And so it's a time where you see in that sentence that he's very honest about the problem, very honest, but then you also see that he's like saying don't lose heart. And so I want to take all of this very seriously but not be scared.
How are you coping with the fact that like your life, you travel, you speak, that's your job, just kind of like that is totally different?
Yeah, I think no one has it harder than my colleague who was 3 hours from getting on a plane to go to a massive event at the biggest church in London, England. And then he was going to give lectures at Oxford and Cambridge and Manchester. Like as a public speaker, that's pretty much the coolest gig one can ever get. And it got yanked from him in 3 hours before takeoff. So he's home instead. That's the rough one. My situation isn't as dramatic, but the two of us are both just trying to figure out ways to still be able to reach the world through the digital. And I think we're both just excited that we actually can hit more people's lives by doing digital stuff than we can in all our travels. And just like all of us learned from the great Canada Post strike of, what was it, 2018, 2017, 2015? I don't know. I should find out.
It was way longer ago than that, because I think I was still working in news. when
Oh,
it happened.
just like, yeah, when Canada Post went on strike and we all learned how to do things better, I think that he and I are excited by the opportunity to do what we do so much more effectively moving forward.
So basically,
yeah,
we're going to find out that offices are unnecessary, that meetings personal meetings are not important, and that we don't need to hold any events, and we're all just going to be online.
Yeah.
Perfect.
To be honest, there's other big things. There was a few years ago, I was coming out of the washroom. I was heading over to the sink, and a guy came out of the stall. I heard it flush, and then he just walked right out. And I just thought, you monster. What I didn't understand until this time is that even though I believe that I wash my hands every time I go to the washroom, practically speaking, I wasn't. I would wash my hands like this. But I've learned now, as we all have, to wash my hands like this.
I know. I was saying we're going to come out of this healthier than we have ever been.
Yeah.
Like there'll be no
so
other, so everyone's going to get coronavirus or something, and no other sicknesses will happen.
Exactly.
Because everyone is finally coughing properly. Everybody is finally washing their hands for apparently the first time. Stores, gas stations, restaurants are actually cleaning for the first time, according to the 300 emails that I have in my inbox. Right. I'm considering putting out a statement on what our family is doing about COVID-19.
Yeah.
Like, just so
it's so funny.
We still won't clean our house because we have 4 children and they make a mess, and we are not going to increase our effort to try to contain that because that is pointless.
Yeah.
Like there was an email that came out from Google email suites on what they're doing about COVID-19. I don't care. It's an email service.
Yeah, it's so funny. And then for me personally, that isn't relevant to other people, I don't think. But I get to see my wife. What's up? That's so special. I don't get to see her much. So,
what is? I mean, you don't have to share things that obviously you don't think she would want you to share, but she works in reaching out to people who are down and out, right? That'd be a proper way to describe it.
Yeah, I think one of the things has been. I interrupted you. That's really
that is fine. We are story of our lives. Not you interrupting me, just us interrupting each other. What? Sometimes someone else's sentence is just so exciting that you want to join them in it, right?
That's true.
Like it's so if we can't hang out, maybe we can hang out on the same sentence.
It's so true.
I'm just curious what most of the people that I know, we have jobs where they're encouraging us to work from home or whatnot. What about the people who can't? But I'm particularly ministering to people who have like their lives. They don't have. Some of them don't have homes.
It's been very grounding for me to be able to be married to her, because while all the headlines and things and stuff is coming in from the beginning, it's always been directly for her, like what does this mean for her friends who she serves on the streets. And so one of the first things we saw pretty early in this whole saga was Costco provides a ton of the food they give to the people on the street, and they've had no food to give because everyone bought the food from Costco. Like Costco would give their extra. And so like that, there's like, they were under resourced. Similarly, her job is actually to organize volunteers. And so again, even before I think the rest of us started feeling it, for the most part, she was going like, hey, I have no volunteers today. I have no volunteers today. Like people didn't want to go in. So she's just been like, how does this impact the people who have nothing? And there's not a lot of hand sanitizer stations on the streets. And so she's spending her time with people who are particularly vulnerable to catching it and vulnerable to giving it, which has implications for the two of us too, for sure. So that's been, her organization's done an incredible job at adapting really fast. And so they have, someone just dropped mail by. So they've been able to adapt so quick. So they are providing food. I'm not sure where they're getting the supply now, but like it's all packaged. They have like their email of measures, unlike all the silly digital things we've received, was like an actually interesting one where they've like completely reorganized to be able to serve people on the street, minimizing human contact and all that kind of stuff. She is going to have to work she is getting a couple days off every week because there's no volunteers to coordinate.
Yeah. So do you know from her any tips that people how they can give more, help more while still being safe?
Thank you. So most of everything they've ever gotten as a ministry is like practical or like tangible things that they then give. They have an amazing clothing store and food. Instead, they just need money, and they actually need more money, like so much more money than ever, because they're needing to give. They're needing to buy resources to give instead of they will not take any tangible donations because it might be infected. Yeah.
If there's a link, send it to me so I could post it.
Sure, that's awesome.
Post it somewhere.
Are we recording? Are we live?
Yes. We're not live.
No,
but
we're not
recording.
Oh, no, I didn't think we're recording.